stopping by the channel. My name's Leah, and I'm going to be recapping and reviewing, I was about to say Grown Up Hip Hop. I just did that video. My bad. This is Real Housewives of New Jersey. This is season 12, episode 4. So let's get into the show. So the episode opens up where it left off on last episode, where they was arguing, and you got Dolores versus Jackie. So Frank, like I said, was scurrying over there, and Frank gets over there, and he's like, Dolores, what's going on? And Frank says in his confessional, he's like, I've known Dolores since she was 19. She a street fighter. He's like, she a street fighter, y'all. He was like, I've seen her bite people. Do you know how angry and how aggressive you got to be to bite somebody? Like, okay, we have incisors, but our incisors, which are like the pointy teeth here and down here, it's meant to help you rip apart that. That's why you see with like animals like dogs and like cats and tigers and stuff, those are their incisors. That helps you break up food. But ours are dull. Really, ours are not that sharp to where you can like bite somebody and cause a mark, unless you add like pressure, like aggressive pressure. I was like, Dolores, you was out here biting the kids, and your daddy was a police officer. That's a mess. That's a mess. So Jackie and Dolores are still going back at it. Dolores is like, she getting on my nerves. I can't. Jackie wasn't scared. She was just like, and then while they're breaking it apart, Jackie is like, I did say you're not really a good friend. And Jackie in her confessional was like, I'm not afraid of Dolores. She was like, I'm not basically Jackie had all this gusto in the, what's it called? In the confessionals. And and this is my thing. Jackie put on the front, like she said she wasn't afraid, but I honestly feel like Jackie knew Dolores wasn't going to bust a grape in front of these cameras or in this group setting. Had it been them at a bar, and I feel like Dolores didn't know sis, Dolores probably would have did something to her. I really do. I don't think we know Jackie is a toothpick. And that is no slight to her body or anything, but Jackie does not have any weight on her. So if Dolores wanted to, all she would have to do is like mush her in the face, and Jackie probably will fall back. Plus, Jackie was drunk as a skunk. So I'm just like, calm down, Jackie. I get it. You won't scared. Kudos to you. But like, this lady bite people. Shut the hell up. So then, Jackie's whole thing is like, she doesn't like the fact that Dolores acts like nobody can be like sad or have feelings. And I get it to a certain degree. Dolores is just one of those people who is very, I'm a strong woman. I'm strong Italian. I'm very she's very, she's engrossed in that. Like that's who she is. Like she doesn't do feelings, and Jackie and Jennifer do. They cry and things of that nature. But I also feel like Dolores she gets annoyed with them very easily, because honestly, Jackie and Jennifer are similar in some ways, but it's kind of like with Dolores feels like Jennifer will be okay. Like, okay, you knew your husband cheated 10 years ago and you stuck out with him. So like, clearly you should be fine now. Like, this should not be hurting you this bad. But Jackie, on the other hand, is like, well, it does hurt her. Let her feel her feelings. Which, okay. So Dolores is like, basically, Jennifer and Margaret need to have a conversation. And I'm like, okay. So they have this conversation. It was a very awkward conversation. Oh, but before then, let me say this. It's annoying to me that Jackie is so invested into Jennifer and Dolores' relationship. I don't feel like it's her place. Well, I don't feel like it's not her place. It's not her place to constantly question Dolores's and Jen's friendship when when Jennifer and Jackie are just now taking slight baby steps to create a new friendship. It's weird to me, because I would never go into a group of friends or where I see there's a friendship and start becoming friends with someone and be like, oh, she's not a good friend to you. Like, she's not being there for you. That's not my place. Yeah, you said it one time, shut the hell up about it and move on. But to constantly say it, now it looks like you trying to do some shady stuff and you're trying to create a rift between their relationship. Like, there's but so many times you need to keep pointing out that someone's not being a good friend. Unless that person comes to you and asks you like their opinion on their relationship, you don't need to keep reiterating that fact. That's just me. So Marge and Jennifer have this awkward conversation. And basically Jennifer says, to be fair, I was triggered. I was hurt by what you did, but I was triggered by the way in which you upheld yourself being a cheater or cheating on your spouse. And I was glad Jennifer owned that, because that's clearly what was happening. It got weird when she said she was like, I was trying to protect my husband. They would probably blame me, like the in-laws would probably blame me for everything in my culture. Basically the men can do no wrong, which is everybody's culture. And then Marge's whole thing was like, you called me slutty. You're being a hypocrite because, your husband cheated. And this is my thing. That's not what a hypocrite is. That's not. And I know some people think she's right, but that's not what it is. That's not what it is. Like, a hypocrite would be that Jennifer was out here doing what Marge did and had the nerve to be calling Marge and her mama sluts, and you was out here slutting it up. Whereas Bill cheated. Bill is the wrong. Bill is in the wrong, and Bill has never said anything derogatory about Margaret. So you can't really call Bill a hypocrite, but you're calling Jennifer a hypocrite because of the way she acted towards you. Honestly, if I was Margaret, I would just be like, I came at you because you came at me about me and my mom. You kept calling me slutty, blah, blah, blah. But, you have skeletons in your closet. That's all she had to do is say you have skeletons in your closet, and I pulled them out. This whole thing about, that's just stupid to me. This whole thing about, it's just stupid to me, yo. It's just stupid. Because I'm like, that's not a hypocrite. That is not the context of what a hypocrite is. And I'm not about to play them games. I'm not playing them games. It was sad to hear Jennifer basically pow on the Captain Save-A-Ho and cape to stand in front of the bullets for Bill, when it's like, no, Bill cheated. And he deserves everything that comes to him, whether it be good or bad, as it pertains to how people feel about him, knowing now that he cheated on you those years ago. That's just, it is what it is. I mean, you stuck it out with him, and I'm never going to tell nobody to leave their relationship, because at the end of the day, I'm not in it. So I don't know what kind of context or how you value certain things in the relationship. But it is what it is. You stuck with the man. You stuck with him. It is what it is. So then Dolores and Jackie have a conversation. They said they okay, kinda. And then Melissa shares with everybody, we going to the shore. We finally saw them do the keg thing, the keg handstand. Frank sucked at it. All that beer coming out his mouth. Tracy was the best. That's it. The next scene is Jackie meeting with a counselor at, I think it's the Radford Center. I guess the center is known to help people with eating disorders. The counselor basically asked, she was like, so what is your reasoning for coming here? And she says she's known about the center for years. Her kids are starting to notice that all mommy does is eat salads and maybe 2 or 3 meals a week that are different other than salads. She religiously counts calories. She said she's been dieting since high school. And I think the part that really was ooh, girl, this is serious, when the lady asks, do you have numbness? And she says she sometimes has numbness in her fingers. She gets dizzy if she stands up too fast because she has such a low heart rate. And sometimes she's cold. And you could tell she was worried when the lady was like, okay, you have to go to the doctor before we start any of this process. And she was a little taken back because I guess she thought she could start now. But the counselor basically said, if you go, basically, I think Jackie didn't understand that your body is used to you being at a deficit of something, a deficit of calories. So your body has created a homeostasis in a sense of or an equilibrium of keeping you at this deficit and you being okay and alive. But once you introduce a massive amounts of change or calories, your body goes into shock trying to figure out how to balance itself out again. And I think what people don't understand, especially if you're somebody who is extremely thin and you're thin because of negative reasons, like you're not eating enough or like drugs or things of that nature, is the lining and the muscle, because your heart, there's three types of muscles. You got smooth muscle, which is like it's supposed to be like throughout your body. Then you have skeletal muscle, which is the muscles that is on top of like your skeleton, you know, your bones stuff. And then you have cardiac muscle. That muscle is like, you can damage that muscle by not eating enough. Like your body needs the nutrients in order to not like to pump blood through your heart or pump blood throughout your body. And so the issue with her not eating enough would be like her muscles and her heart are probably fairly weak. And you introducing like so much food would probably like freak your muscles out, and you probably would like have fibrillation and all that stuff. Then you have what's it called? And it's kind of the same. It's kind of the opposite with people who are obese. Well, no, in a sense, it's kind of the same. Like your muscles are weak when you're that extremely thin because you're not eating properly. So it only pumps a certain amount of blood throughout your body. When you're extremely obese, it's the same thing, except it's caused differently because you have all this weight on your chest or surrounded by your heart. Sometimes it can be fat, and that fat weighs down your muscles. So your muscles are already weak. Your muscles are weak from trying to pump blood. On top of that, they have weight on them. It's kind of like walking up the stairs with a heavy backpack. You be tired by the time you get up the steps. So I think it's important. I think this conversation she's having, or allowing us to see her have and go on this journey, is important, because there's probably a lot of people who watch Housewives who have eating disorders, or like we know some of the Housewives have had eating disorder. I remember Lisa Rinna, Kyle Richards. I don't know if any of the Black Housewives have had eating disorders. But we know a considerable majority of the white ones have, but I don't think we've ever got to see them go on a journey of like recovery. Most of them are just like, I got help for it, but we didn't get to see them get help for it. So I think it's admirable for Jackie to show us this, because she doesn't have to. Then we have Frankie. Frankie. I think her name Gabriella and Dolores. So they having a family meeting about Frank living with them. We found out Frank hasn't lived with the kids since they were babies. Dolores was pregnant, and Gabriella was like 2 or 3 when she got a divorce from Frank. Basically, they don't want their daddy to have no women in the house. They want respect all around. Dolores wants to stay in her townhouse. She wants to be alone for a while for herself. She finally tells the kids that her and David aren't together. Mind you, y'all know David and Louie's ex-girlfriend are dating. Which I was like, why the exes getting together? That's messy. But I bet you Dolores nor Louie cares, because Louie's with Teresa and Dolores is with that other guy I told y'all about in the last video. So no one needs to be upset. But I'll be looking at y'all like, ooh, where y'all meet at? The area in New Jersey must be real small for that coincidence to happen. And that's weird. So they're having a conversation, and they were like, well, why don't you want to stay at the shore? And he was basically like, I'm getting older and I want to be around y'all. He was like, I'm going to let y'all know my life will not interfere or ruin y'all's life. Like, I just want to be around, which they're all cool with. Dolores finally lets the kids know that her and David broke up, and she was taking a long time to get it out. And Frank was like, Dolores, just tell him. I was like, dang, Frank, let her get it out. So she told them. The kids are kind of distraught, but like Frank told her, we're loyal to you. But they wanted to know, would she be okay to have, if they could still have a relationship with him, because he was so integrated into their family, and they really do like David. David seems like a good dude, but he seems like a person that is very career driven and very focused on his career. So it's like anybody that would get with him would have to know that they come second to him being to his work and him being a doctor. And I mean, like, you can find people who are like that, and maybe that new girl is like that, but Dolores ain't won't be second. It was funny. They were talking about sex, like, because Frank was like, how come I can't have nobody over? That means y'all can't have y'all booze over. And then it got weird when Frank was like, does your boyfriend satisfy you? Because I satisfy my women. I said, my girl. I said, ew. I don't want to know nothing about my daddy satisfying nobody. And then Dolores was like, Frank. And then we don't have these conversations. But I'm like, your kids are in their 20s. Like, I think Gabriella's like 25. And then Frankie is like 22. Like, they're having sex. We know they're having sex. So, like, why couldn't y'all have this conversation? But it was cute. Like, it was a cute family moment. So, we're going to the shore. Everyone's going to the shore. You know what? I will say this cast has really nice beach houses. I think the best beach house to me is the one that Melissa and Joe have. But, what's her name? Jennifer comes in a hot second. Dolores don't look that great to me, but Melissa and Joe have the best beach house in my opinion at the shore. Dolores and Frank get there. They at their beach house. Frank is like, girl, don't be fighting nobody. I don't got time. He said, I know you. Basically, Frank is like, I'm not bailing you out of jail. Don't fight nobody. Then you have at Melissa's house, they putting vodka in the, they have like a little water cooler. And my thing is like, I didn't have a problem with them doing that. The only thing is like, they didn't make like a drink. Like, I guess it was supposed to be a joke for like everybody to go get it, thinking it was water so everybody would drink. Evan was the only one drinking it, like, who didn't have like an aversion where everyone was like, eh. Because it was Tito's. It was just Tito's. Evan drinking it like water. And I'm like, you are definitely a frat boy. Because the frat boys around here, them motherfuckers just be they drink water like they drink vodka like it's water. They do. And Evan did the same thing without a flinch. So he's definitely a frat boy. But I was like, okay, the joke is over. Can we put some like juice in there, some fruit? Let's make a nice little drink. But they ain't do that. So Dolores tells Frank about Jackie's comment about Bill, which the comment was not that serious. Where Jackie said, how about Bill doesn't stick his dick in someone else? Because she was like, I feel bad. Jackie said at Teresa's party on the first episode, was it second episode? Second episode where she was like, where she was like, oh, she was like, I feel bad for Jennifer, not Bill. Why doesn't, maybe he should not put his dick in somebody else. How about that? And I was like, Dolores, that's not hitting the way you think it's supposed to hit. But I get it. You have an issue with her now because she tried it. So you gonna try her back because you can't put your hands on her. So now you're gonna try her again. So in the car leading up there, we see Margaret, Joe, Evan, and Jackie. Mind you, they're talking about Louis again. Evan says he likes Louis. Jackie doesn't really have a comment, but then Joe and Margaret are like basically bringing up stuff. So they bring up that video. And like I told y'all, the video was not that bad. Was it weird and cringy? Yes. But once we found out that it was like some male, like testosterone, like women, it was basically like a woman's retreat. It was a male's retreat. Just totally different. Because like, we're not going to act like churches and events and venues don't have women retreats where you're supposed to go scream in the woods and cry out all your stuff. Theirs is just a male version of that. So I was like, okay, once we figured out that, I was like, all right. But then I guess a lot of other things started coming out about Louis. They showed this on the episode where it was like someone posted this. She said, but I know a family member of his and he is bad news. Like, it's really terrible. I can't get into the details. His own family members don't like him. What a terrible dude. Tree really knows how to pick them, and people in her circle, her close circle, have been warned of him. Then, everybody's comments. There's comments from people saying, I've got a bad feeling about this. Red flag. Something about Louis isn't trustworthy. I'm sick to my stomach. And I just feel like, okay, shout out to the diva. Read the Yelp reviews. If like Teresa has read the Yelp reviews and still is willing to take a gamble on Louis, then that's up to her. I feel like you can't you can't keep like harping on to this. And it also annoys me that Margaret is doing this, because it's like, Margaret, You already have like a beef with Jennifer. Like that could be your storyline. Your storyline shouldn't be I'm trying to expose Louis to Teresa when I feel like Teresa already knows what she's getting with Louis. And even if she doesn't know, it's kind of like you can't keep like you're pushing someone to be closer to that person. When they already told you, leave it alone, dead it, let it go, and you keep bringing it up, it makes them want to run closer to that person. So I don't understand what the whole goal of constantly bringing up this. And Joe is Margaret's minion and her sidekick because he keeps bringing it up to Melissa's Joe and the other guys about Louis when everybody else is saying like, okay, we like Louis. So I was just like, it's annoying. It's just annoying. So like I said, Evan drank the vodka like it was water. We found out that Louis and Teresa are staying at Jen's house because I guess all her kids are in town and they're at her beach house, and it's just a whole bunch of stuff going on at her place. Jackie and was it Jackie and Teresa talk? No. Jen and Teresa have a conversation at the house, and they just basically talk about everything, how Jackie told, like how Jackie's been there for Jennifer, and Teresa's like, okay, that's a good thing. So then they head down to the beach, and it's Frank, Dolores, Jen, and Teresa. And everyone's chilling. All the ladies look good in their little bikinis, and they're just having a good time. They're just chilling and having a good time. So all of a sudden, everybody gets there. The Melissa and Margaret crew gets there, and then the men get there. The men go off and sit at a table, and the other women sit down. And they're just talking. They tell Dolores to stand up because they wanted to see her boobies, her side boobies. But I was just like, okay, y'all are childish. Y'all are childish. Like I said, they looking at Dolores' side boob, and the men are sitting down, and they're asking about, like, okay, the women are like, where's Louis? And Louis is like, oh, he's on his way, but he got caught up in traffic. And you have Margaret, Tracy, I forgot to tell y'all, Tracy is there, Tiki on his way. But that's how you know she don't need to be in this group, because I don't remember her. And then you have Melissa, so it's Melissa, Tracy, Margaret, and Jackie. And they're talking about Louis. And Melissa's like, Teresa's happy when she's with him. But there are some things that we've all heard. But when he gets here, y'all need to act like he's a great dude. So then you have the men sitting over there. And Margaret's Joe is like, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I feel like, why is it constantly Margaret and Joe bringing up Louis? Why? Why? Like, let it go. Like, for real, let it go. Like, okay, you made mention of it before. We get it. Y'all think there's something shifty and shady about Louis. I understand being concerned for your friend. But if you have already, brought up those issues or those concerns to your friend, and they told you they got it, they good, they gonna take it into consideration, then let it go. Like, let it go. Like, shut up. It's time to let it go. So Teresa, and then the other crew, so Tracy, Melissa, Margaret, and Jackie, they go sit at the table and go eat. And then you see Teresa, Jen, and Dolores sitting down. And basically, they're telling Teresa, like, Dolores is like, me and David been broken up for like a week. Teresa was like, why didn't you tell me? And Dolores is like, I didn't really want to talk about it. And then Jen is like, so is that why you blew up at Jackie? Like, was at the night of the frat party when y'all broke up? She was like, yeah. And Dolores says she's sorry to Jennifer. Like, she didn't mean for to get mad at her. Then Dolores brings up the comment she told Frank where she was like, you think that girl cares about you, but she really don't. She said what I said, like, your man shouldn't have been putting his penis in somebody else. And Jackie is disgusted because she was like, how could you say that about my husband? And Dolores is like, don't play pussy, girl. Like, open your eyes. And this is my thing, y'all. This is my thing. Dolores is putting 20 on 10, definitely. Because the comment was made, and Jackie and, what's her name? Jackie and Jennifer are working on a friendship. They're not really friends like that. So if Jackie made that comment, who cares? Because Jennifer has just made just as bad comments. But I do agree with Dolores in the sense of like, girl, open your eyes. Like, she knew about, and that's the other part. It's like they people think I'm reaching, and I might be, but I really do think Jackie, Melissa, and Margaret cooked this up to bring it to us, to bring us the bull, because it's like, what was the reason? Like, well, there is a reason. Like, Jennifer and Margaret don't like each other, but it's like, for her to be like, oh, I knew this was gonna hurt you, and now all of a sudden I'm trying to be your friend when you knew she was gonna like air this out. I feel like I would side eye Jackie. I wouldn't be solely like, I'd be cool with Jackie. I'd be working on a friendship with Jackie, but I would keep like my good eye on Jackie, because it's like, we're not gonna act like she ain't know that Margaret was gonna air you out. I feel like Margaret was just waiting for a time to air her out, and like the fact that she knew that Jackie knew at the reunion last year when they were all in white says a lot, in my opinion. That says a lot. So they all go back home, Melissa, the other crew is at Melissa's place, and Jennifer and Teresa go to Jennifer's place. We see Jennifer's kids, cute little kids, they with the nanny, and they're all trying to get ready because they were supposed to have a barbecue at Teresa's place, but because all the kids are at Teresa's place, they're going to have the barbecue at Jennifer's house. So we see the chef come, and all of a sudden, Teresa's like, I'm going to go get ready. She's getting ready. We hear her on the mic. She's like, oh, I'm Mike. Louis is like upset, like visibly upset. So then a production hand comes out and says, Teresa, what's going on? And the production is like, okay, like, she was like, Louis is frustrated. Then the production hand tells her, like, he's parked somewhere in this parking lot. He's upset. He's frustrated. And he doesn't want to film. So then Teresa is like, I'm the public figure. If he doesn't want to film, he doesn't have to. And I'm like, sis, yeah, he do. We not going to act like he ain't know who you was before you got on here. So because I took a screenshot, especially like what she said. Where is it? Okay. She said, Teresa says, I think the production hand said, I think he feels like everyone is talking about him and he wants to know why. And Teresa was like, well, they don't need to be talking about him. I'm the public figure. And the production hand was real, because she said, here's the thing, the story's out there, so you might as well talk about it. Teresa gets upset. She basically like unmics herself, and she was like, you know what, go F yourselves. And she gets in the car and drives off. And this is my thing. Teresa has given us a lot. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Like, we saw the lady go to prison. We seen both her parents pass away on the show. We seen her ex-husband get deported. We seen the rift in her family. So she has given us a lot. I think she feels like Louis is special to her. Like, legitimately special to her. She's like, because we know she never had that with Joe Giudice. Like, someone that made her feel special, made her feel like a princess. And I feel like she is trying her best to hold on and protect him. That she does not want anything to like, she doesn't want him to be hurt. So I get that, but it's like, on one hand, you've given us a lot, so I understand you setting this clear boundary that, like, you know what, my man is off limits. But on the other hand, like, sis, if you wanted your man to be off limits, he don't need to be a part of the show. We can just casually see Louis like every 5 or 10 minutes and go on. Like, he doesn't need to have like a full scene with you if he really doesn't want to be a part of the show. Like, he was going to get talked about. People were going to dig in his backstory, or like dig in his past to figure out his backstory. Like, they do that with anybody that's on reality TV and any celebrity that you see somebody dating. So I'm kind of like, girl, stop it. And then on top of that, I didn't like the fact that, what's her name? Melissa. So Teresa texts Melissa saying, you know what, everyone needs to stop talking about my man. And then while all the other people are at her home, she comes outside and tells everybody that Teresa told her this. And I'm like, see, that's why people don't really like Melissa. Like, if she texted you that, you could have kept that to yourself, or you could have said it in the confessional. You didn't have to tell the whole group. So it makes you look shifty. It is what it is. It makes y'all look like trash. Like, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. But yeah, y'all, next episode seems good, because I think that's where we get the hand tussling with Jennifer and Melissa, But that is it. That is all. Drop down in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. And remember to be bravely authentic. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.